Of my quadcopter. This was the first build. We've got the Mobius camera here. My video transmitter is mounted here. And I used an old mini blind bracket to mount it to with double-sided tape so it would go vertical. I also have this little antenna holder here. This is for the transmitter, fed up and out through that. My LEDs are actually not in part of the frame. They were added afterwards. I had to do a little bit of makeshift soldering to my positive negative to my speed controllers to power them. Everything is held together with lock nuts between the upper and lower frame. And I had to make my own PCB board on this quad because it was not part of the frame. So, and it ended up working just fine. The motors on these are multi-stars, and these are, what size are these motors? I can't remember. It says it on there. These are 2208s, and they're 2150 kilovolts. So they are a little bit lower power than the multi-stars. And that kilovolt rating is how many RPMs it'll spin per cell. So on a 3-cell battery, you multiply that times the kilovolt rating. Flies very nice. It was the first build, so it's not as clean as the second, I should say. Part of the reason the wiring wasn't put inside the frame more was I wasn't finalized in my setup. And so I just haven't had the chance to tear it apart and reinstall. I wasn't sure. It was my first build, so everything's kind of zip tied out of the way. My flight controller is a CC3D board. It's a pretty tiny little board, very small. I do not have a Bluetooth module on this quadcopter. It also has a Sony board cam. It's a single camera for the flight video or FPV video. And then also I have a JR receiver in here right now. I'm using my XG8 currently. I will be testing some spectrum telemetry, however, in it, so that will be coming out soon. And then I got my Velcro straps on the bottom there. But the big difference on this and the second build was the wiring. I just wound the extra wiring around the arms. And it's not as clean looking. I'm probably going to take that apart and redo those eventually. And I'll probably also put the antenna inside the frame like I did on the second build as well, like on Matt's quad. But yeah, it flies very well. I've had a few rough landings with it, just getting used to it. It is lighter weight because I don't have a GPS or Bluetooth module on it, and the flight controller is not quite half the size, but pretty close to half the size of the one on Matt's. Weight on this one is 1 pound 3 ounces. So it is almost an ounce and a half lighter than Matt's. However, my current setup, I'm using a flight battery to power a separate battery to power my flight video. I'm going to be switching out to a direct feed like I have on his, so I don't have to add extra weight. And now I am still under his weight by a little bit. I'm at 1 pound 4 ounces. But if I eliminate this battery, I save a whole ounce. So I'm going to be doing direct power through the flight battery, so that way I can shed that extra weight. But that helps a lot, being that the motors I have aren't quite as powerful. They're a little less powerful than the other ones. But yeah, that's an overview of my quadcopter, and it definitely has evolved between the two. From his or mine to his. They are same size physically, but just a little different approach on both, and they different components on both. So it's been a fun project for sure. But that is an overview of my quadcopter.